Begin transmission. This is an emergency broadcast from the anonymous charity also known as The Collective. Today's date is that leads us to believe with a very high degree of certainty that the US will come under attack, resulting in a nationwide blackout. The US Department of Homeland Security has just stated that Americans need to plan immediately for up to 6 months without electricity. The attack will be blamed on either China or Russia, but it will have been instigated from within the US. For over a year now, clues have been dropped by the elites and their mainstream media outlets of this happening. As we have told you before, they have to tell us in advance, as they have done so with previous events. Please note, the who, right now, and the why is secondary to what you need to do to prepare for this. We, the anonymous charity, suggest you take notes on what we will say next. An EMP attack would more than likely take down large portions of the nation's power grid, possibly even the entire system. Most of your electronics could be damaged, if not they will likely become useless without electricity. Expect long-term outages that will last for months, possibly even years. Most of our electrical equipment is now made overseas, and damaged power transformers could take years to repair fully. No more electronic payments. You need to have cash on hand, but also be aware that even cash will quickly lose value as most modern-day commerce is conducted over computer networks. Chaos in the streets. Once people realize what happened, there is going to be a mass panic. Most people have less than a 3-day supply of food and water in their homes, and most people will be lost without the ability to power their homes. Be prepared for rioting and looting. Be prepared for a huge spike in crime, especially robberies and home invasions. Be prepared to defend your home and your supplies. Martial law. Once the chaos breaks out, the government will instigate a state of emergency or martial law. Expect to lose most of your constitutional rights. Expect the government to suspend the Second Amendment and possibly even the confiscation of firearms. Expect travel restrictions and nationwide curfews. You need to be prepared to survive for an extended period of time without power and essential services. This means stockpiling food and water, learning the skills you need to protect yourself and your family from the chaos and violence that will inevitably happen, and in our opinion, you need to get as far away from highly populated urban centers as you can. If you can. Stock up on food and water. During a long-term grid down situation, food and water will be crucial to your survival and will likely be the first things to go. Our entire food infrastructure is extremely reliant on the power grid. When the power goes down, you are going to see widespread panic and chaos. Stock up on long-term food and water. Once again, we say, have cash on hand. During any type of grid down situation, your debit and credit cards are going to be useless. You need to have cash on hand to buy last-minute supplies and to deal with the initial stages of the disaster. Start becoming more self-reliant. Over the last couple of decades, the world has seen an unprecedented spike in technology and access to learning. Unfortunately, we've also seen a growing number of people who have used this technology to tune out and lose their ability to be self-reliant. Stock up on firearms. During any type of long-term power outage, security is going to be a top priority. When the grid goes down for any length of time, chaos is going to quickly sweep the streets, and social unrest will be one of the top threats you face. The unprepared masses are going to be unpredictable. In all likelihood, they will become a threat to your safety. Stock up on backup power. Solar chargers, power generators, and portable battery backups are all things you need to invest in. For a very small amount of money, you can ensure you have the power to run things like emergency radios, ham radios, tablets, flashlights, and other emergency gear. The threat. An electromagnetic pulse attack, EMP, is something that's often mentioned in the context of Hollywood sci-fi films, but very little attention is ever given to the real-world implications of this threat. While the chances of an attack may have been small up until now, there are a growing number of countries who now possess the ability to launch an EMP attack, and the consequences are far too catastrophic to ignore. But remember, the threat will come from within. An electromagnetic pulse is a broad term that can cover both natural and man-made events that would cause a burst of electromagnetic energy, but for the purposes of this article, we will be looking at the most dangerous types of EMPs, nuclear electromagnetic pulses, NEMP, and high-altitude nuclear EMPs, HEMP. We live in a world that's become incredibly dependent on electricity, so much so that the average person would be hard-pressed to survive for more than a couple weeks without it. We've all seen it on a small scale, the panic and chaos following a power outage. Events like hurricanes, earthquakes, or even small seasonal storms give us a little glimpse into the chaos that can happen when our power grid goes down. From the food you buy at the local grocery store to the money sitting in your bank account, almost everything you do has become intertwined with a complex electronics-driven infrastructure. Time and time again we witness people panicking as a storm bears down on their region, rushing to the store to buy last-minute supplies, only to realize 99% of their community was just as unprepared and are now panicking inside an empty grocery store with nothing to bring home to their family. Once the disaster passes and the storm wreaks havoc on the local grid, stay vigilant. This has been a message from the anonymous charity also known as The Collective. Today's date is December 12, 2018. End of transmission.